Let's have a conversation. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Mindful Reality, covering reality TV from a mental health perspective and backed by popular demand. I have my co-host here, Tasha. Thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Hi, Lisa, and hi, Ed. So you ready to dive into this Traitors episode 5 recap?
Yes.
What did you think of the episode?
Thought it was pretty good. I was at the beginning, I thought it was going to be a little bit more fireworks with Phaedra and Parvati, but that didn't happen. So, but
they're slick with the way that they split things up sometimes.
Mhm.
Like sometimes all the drama actually happened, and then they're just showing another 30 seconds of it in the next episode.
Exactly.
But you think it's a whole huge explosion that spans across 2 episodes, so I know what you mean.
Yes.
So that's the first thing that I have here in my note, is that this cliffhanger that we were talking about, when all the 3 traitors got together, and let me see if I can say this right today. Parvati, is that how you say it?
That sounds about right. I think I was calling it something else.
Yeah,
but that sounds
Parvati. I'll call her Parv, as I did last time.
Yes. Parv is
So it showed Phaedra looking at her crazy and being like, this is not fair. How dare you call out the housewives? And Parv was basically like, oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to call you out specifically. And she was like, I'm part of the housewives. So if you call out the housewives, you're putting heat on me. But it seemed to end pretty quickly, at least from what we saw, where Phaedra was like, okay, I accept your apology, and I'll believe that you're working with me and not against me going forward. And there's Dan in the side, like, this is great. They're fighting. What did you think of that scene?
I think that there was a lot more to that scene because to have Phaedra just, to me it was like she basically um it was too soon for her to accept her apology, in my opinion. But I think it was a lot more in that scene that eventually she was like, well, we have to work together, but I got one eye on you. Um, and as far as Dan is concerned, it's good for him. So, yeah, I think that Phaedra she's keeping one eye open when it comes to them. She doesn't trust them fully, but she'll rock with them for right now.
As long as she has to, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Ed says no one suspects Phaedra, not even me. She got really under the radar. She really did.
That's good.
Yeah, but I agree with you there. It's one of those things where, yeah, she's upset with them. Yes, she lost some faith and trust in them. But she's also like, I can't cut them right now because then they're just going to turn on me. So I have to just tentatively accept this apology so that we can keep playing the game together as long as necessary.
Yes, I agree. I'm with you, Phaedra.
So then we go into these, let me see. Dan said he's happy about the fight. He said that in the confessional. And he said that he lit the dynamite. I think it's interesting how they set it up, where Dan is basically saying, oh, I'm sitting pretty because of this fight. But then obviously, as we start to find out as the episode unfolds, Dan is anything but sitting pretty. And Phaedra is still not even on the radar.
Yeah, Dan, I think his radar is off. Dan,
Far off.
Yes, Dan, come on now. Dude, you need to go and start talking to people to see where everyone's head is at. You didn't even know. Well, we'll get to that.
I'm glad you said that because Oh, I think that might have been. No, I think that was at that first part at the beginning when they were all talking. When
Mm.
they were like, Dan, the heat is on you. That was at the beginning, right?
No, it was towards the middle. He
Towards
didn't
the.
know at first until after the challenge.
Okay. Okay. So we'll get there.
Yeah.
So we cut to one of the scenes where everybody is finding out who ended up getting eliminated. In the early group that first came out there, Peter, Peter was very suspicious of Dan and tells everybody, you know what? I'm on to Dan. I think Dan is a traitor. Dan is not throwing any names out there. Dan's not really talking. Dan's really quiet and he still hasn't changed. And I was like, oh boy, there's like 5, 6 of them at that breakfast table at that point.
Great
What did you think of
observation.
that?
It was a great observation by Peter, and he's really coming into his own. He's really paying attention to who he's talking to, who's not talking, who's over talking, and I think he got a good alliance with the faithful. So Dan is in trouble.
I agree. And I totally agree with what Ed is saying here when he says Dan's best move is to expose Phaedra. I would almost say that's his only move at this point with the amount of heat that he has on him.
Mhm.
Like being able to say, oh, I've been looking and observing, and I realized that Phaedra's the traitor. It's just that that's so risky
It
because she
is.
has no heat on her right now.
It is risky. He could do that, but he could also do it to Parv because her name was thrown out. Well, it wasn't thrown out, but Peter made it a point to tell her also. Are we there yet? We might not be there. I'm giving away too much information. When we're not there, but
No,
we'll come to
we'll
that.
get there. Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
So this is so basically everything I have here so far right now is just from the breakfast table.
Hmm.
So Tamara says, "I hope it's not a housewife that goes." CT then calls out Dan.
Not Tamara.
Hmm?
You said Tamara said
Tamara, right?
Tamara was the one that was eliminated.
Oh, Tamara. Yeah, it was Tamara. Yeah, there we go. CT asked Dan if he had a theory on who it could be. CT, I mean, they haven't really been showing him speaking too much, but when he speaks, he kind of speaks with conviction. And he started talking to Dan, and he was like, Dan, do you have any theory about who it might be, who the traitor might be, anybody? And Dan kept playing the same kind of coy game that he's been playing the whole time. He's like, I'm not sure. I don't really want to say a name. And I'm here like, has Dan ever watched the Traitors? Because I've never seen anyone win without accusing anyone of being a traitor the whole game.
I agree. And I think CT doesn't really know who it is. I think
I don't think so either.
rings true. His first statement episodes ago is, I don't even know what's going on. CT actually know what's going on. And I think though when Peter said, I have my eye on Dan, that's when CT was like, Dan doesn't speak much. And that's why I'm glad he said it. I'm glad he clocked it and asked him that question because it threw Dan off. And
Mhm.
I personally think that when he didn't answer, that gave CT. I think that CT probably suspected that he could be a traitor as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Hi,
Mhm.
Lisa. Hi, Sarah.
Lisa,
Um, Ed, if I didn't say hi already. Hi, Star. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I didn't announce on the page that I wasn't doing it till Friday, but this is typically what we're going to be doing. Hey, Colleen. Okay. So for some reason, I had this entire thing missing out of my notes. Maybe I was just enjoying it.
mhm.
But we had the the daily challenge thing that they do.
Mhm.
And that was the thing, I believe, where they had the bird sounds
Mhm.
that two people had to put the bird sounds through that transmission system, and then the rest of the group had to listen to it and match it up with the things in the castle. There's a whole kind of thing going on.
Mhm.
And they said the people on the inside would not be eligible to get shields, and the people on the outside would be eligible for the shields. So they started off with arguing over who's going to be inside and outside, because this is kind of a selfish group.
I agree. Some more than others.
Some more than others. So Peter, this is when I'm like, this guy is smart. So Peter comes up with this kind of smart idea to lie about who has the shields in order to give a smoke screen to the traitors and make the traitors pick somebody who they have said does not have the shield.
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea. I I'm glad he came up with it, and he basically I don't know where he got the idea from. I heard that this idea came from someone else, but I don't know if he's looked at any of the
Oh,
seasons. Right. So this is not the first time that this has someone has thought of this. But
hmm.
all in all, I think it's a good idea to create a smoke screen. I don't think that any of the traders should know who has the shield. In my opinion, it's none of your business.
All this time, it didn't even occur to me, quite honestly, that you could just not tell them if you have the shield. I just kind of assumed like, oh, you have to tell them if you have the shield, and then I'm like, wait, what? You never had to do that? Everybody has done that so far.
I know, and it's annoying.
Hi, Prince, and hi, Rocky. Yeah, so the people who end up winning the shields out of this mission were Bergie and Trishelle. So Peter or whoever, I don't know if it was just Peter or someone gave him the idea. I know Peter suspected Dan,
Mm-hmm.
but Peter decided to tell Dan, Parv, and was it CT? Was the third one?
CC.
Yeah, because Phaedra is not on his radar.
Right.
So Dan, Parv, and CT are the people that they seem to suspect the most. So Peter and Trishelle, Peter and was it Janelle that he was working with there?
Peter was working with Janelle.
Yeah. So Peter and Janelle decide to go tell everybody that they were, to tell those three, not everybody, that they were the ones who won the shield. So that they're like, if they pick these people, one of these people, then their pick is going to be blocked.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody's going to leave the house. And then it's going to be obvious that one of the people that we chose picked somebody based on who we said has the shields.
Yeah. But can we go back? Can we
We
go
can go back.
back to when they were looking for the shields and that Kevin and fake Sheree? They
Mhm.
are terrible at this game. What are we doing? What are we doing? You don't know how to read a map. You don't know, you barely know how to call out birds, do a bird call. What are we doing?
You ain't lying. You ain't lying.
But yeah, your question was, I'm sorry.
No, thanks for that note there. Um, wait, what did Rocky say? I'm with you. I'm like, WTF is this guy? Okay, I missed your comment, Rocky. Let me go back up.
You're talking about Kevin.
Okay. Peter came out of nowhere. Yeah, I haven't seen Peter before. I don't know him from anything else. What is Peter from?
He's from the Bachelor.
Oh, somebody from The Bachelor is smart.
High
Wow.
heat.
Okay. No offense, but I wouldn't think that somebody from The Bachelor would be, out thinking people like that who've been playing actual like lying and deceitful games. But
Right. I
hey,
thought that Janelle would. It seems like something that she would think of, but she didn't think of it either. But I mean, I'm glad that he did think of it because it was a great idea. I can't read a map.
I think the best. Oh yes, both. I meant to say that both Ed and Colleen said that. Alan's fits are always fitting. I'm here for Alan's fits every single episode.
Yeah,
I'm
he
like,
looks great.
yeah, like I love
Great.
the style, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's one of the best
Yeah, and
parts.
dialogue. Yeah, it's he's very
And his oh yeah, and his dialogue. Yeah, his
mhm.
dialogue is hilarious. Hey May, it's been a minute. Hi May. The Bachelor, really? Peter, Peter came out swinging this week. He sure did.
Yeah, but he better watch out. He better slow down. Slow down, Peter.
Was it editing? The guy who can't read. The guy can't read a map. Oh yeah, Kevin. Yeah, we're getting to that though. Thanks for the super chat, Edward. Question: do you think so far is this group of faithfuls more clueless than last year when it comes to catching the traitors?
Um, I heard someone else ask this, and I think that they were saying that this group is a little smarter. Fables were a little smarter than the ones we had last year. I can't remember when they found out when they found out Cody, because he was the first one.
Cody, I think, was about episode 6 or so,
Right,
which seems to be about Dan's time, but we'll see. That's
right,
not a spoiler. That's just a guess based on the amount of heat that he's had on him.
right. So I think that there have been a few people that have clocked Dan. And so I think that they're thinking in the right direction. The problem is they can't hold that thought. They
Mm-hmm.
keep getting they're not focusing on this one thought. So
Well, I feel like there's a lot of smart people on the season. This week, though, was really the first week that they have really locked in on one of the traders like that. I mean, they haven't picked one yet, but it seemed like they're putting context clues together. So I think you're right. It's just that it's taken them a little longer to get there, but it seems like the last season they just got Cody. When they got Cody, it didn't seem like they had any idea about Sari and what's the other guy's name?
oh, I can't remember who was the other.
Ari, is that his name?
Yeah,
Ari,
Ari.
Ari. Yeah, it seemed like they had no idea, no strong idea, anyways, about Ari or Sari, and they
Mhm.
were just like, it's got to be Cody. And I think part of that was because Cody was acting so shifty.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Ed said, I don't care how good Dan is, how is he still in the game?
He's luck, a lot of luck. Dan he's good, and I do agree with this. He's good at when his back is on the wall. He's good. He comes out swinging. So I think it works in his favor. What
I'm
did he
just
say?
laughing at I'm just laughing at Ed's comment
John
that
runs
said
like
John runs like Tom Cruise. Mission Impossible, asthma and all. That's funny, Ed. That scene is so funny.
it is very funny.
He
Alan
also
thought
runs.
too.
He runs like a scene from Baywatch. He's rescuing somebody from the ocean. Sari made it look effortless. She sure did. She sure did. Don't you think you want to identify the traitors? Someone else will get recruited if you take out a traitor, and that new person will be hard to identify. I would say if you know one traitor, like holding on to Dan for a little bit, like you're on to Dan. But if
Mhm.
you knew 2 or 3 traitors, the longer they're in, they could take you out.
Yeah, I agree. Who you want to identify traders?
Oh, you wanted to read it again?
Oh, I read it. I
Okay.
agree. Yeah.
Luck and Deontay Wilder, Prince said, saved him. And then Yeah.
Deontay must be heartbroken finding out that Dan was a traitor.
Oh yeah. He's like, I
Right at
went to
home.
bat for this man.
No offense, Dan. I mean Deontay, but
Sari played it masterful. Sari had the mist.
yeah, Sari
True.
is great at this game. She was great at this game. I don't
Mhm.
know who's better, Sari or Phaedra.
The
With
jury is like I can. The jury is kind of out because so far Phaedra's playing wonderfully. So
mm,
it kind of depends on how it ends.
yeah, I agree.
Is the trait? It is traitor impossible. Oh yeah, Deontay vouched for him. People respect Deontay. Yeah, and he said all that stuff about I go with my gut. My heart. Like you just gotta pick your heart over whatever evidence you think makes somebody a traitor. And I felt
When
bad
I
for
watched this
the
game, I was
guy.
like, this is not it, Deontay. You making a fool out of yourself.
So we get to my favorite part of every episode, which is everybody sitting around the round table and making accusations of each other. So
Mm,
before we started with the round table, it was so funny because I was just reading some comments the other day and they were like, man, I miss Kate. Kate was so good on the season and she was so entertaining. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we have a surprise, not guest. We have a
mhm.
surprise participant, which I don't know. Has this happened on any other country's version or is this the first time ever?
This is the first time, but I did. I'm here for her coming in. I just didn't like how it got leaked. So people knew about it like 2 weeks ago that
Oh,
she was
okay.
coming in. It was I don't know if they meant to drop the trailer for her coming in. I was like, I wish that the audience was also surprised. That would have been great. But
Got you.
I'm here for Kate.
So they decide, okay, let me see. Yeah, let me get through this and then I'll get back to those comments. So they decided to bring back Kate, I suppose by popular demand and seeing how much everyone liked her from last season.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that she was just going to come in for an episode, but
Mm-hmm.
instead, we're halfway through the show because
Mm-hmm.
last season was 10 episodes, we're episode 5.
Right.
They decide to bring her into the house and say, and Alan announces she is either a traitor or a faithful. So nobody
Mm-hmm.
knows, not even the traitors, because for all they know, they could get into their meeting at night and she's just standing there. But they tell us that she's a faithful, the audience.
Right.
So she's just basically like, what's happening? Who do we not like? Like,
I
what's
know,
happening?
right? Just like that. Right to business.
The conflict and the drama and the table, like that's her thing.
Hmm. And I'm here
Watching the,
for it.
I'm here for it too.
Hmm.
Okay, now let me see what this comment was. The comment section is popping today.
Oh, I still don't see it.
Oh, you don't see it? All star Sari, Phaedra, Tiffany from the cookout. Who would you want in an all star traders game?
Oh, you have to have Sari. You have to have Phaedra. I don't know because I haven't. Tiffany hasn't played in the Traders, but I
Mhm.
wouldn't mind watching her.
I think to myself that I know a lot of people don't might not think so, but I think to myself that Xavier might be good at this type of game.
Maybe. I'm trying to think. I only seen him play in the reindeer games.
Oh,
So, oh, you know who would probably be good at this? Danielle Reyes would probably be
oh
good.
yeah, yeah, she'd probably be good. Yeah, I can
Mhm.
see that. Danielle Reyes, I'd like to see her. I would kind of like to see Hannah.
Hannah,
I'd,
she's a good one.
I'd kind of like to see Hannah. Not if it was an All Stars though, I'd probably think of the biggest names, but that's just a person that I can think of that
Mhm.
I feel might be good at that game, especially if she was a faithful.
Yeah. Oh, I think she would be. I don't think that they would make her a traitor. I don't think
Yeah, they wouldn't think it would be interesting enough, I don't think.
that. Mm-mm.
All star. Kesar?
I don't know his work.
Oh, you don't know his work.
I
Okay.
just know that he was in what was that challenge that they did with everybody was so excited about the challenge coming.
Pressure cooker.
Pressure cooker, yes.
Yeah. My my fantasy pick, if I could pick anyone, would be Wes Bergman. I would love to see Wes Bergman on one of these shows from the challenge.
Oh wow. What about the guy? What was his name? Andy. Herring?
Hmm.
What about him? I know a lot of people didn't. I heard that a lot of people didn't like him when he was. He's from Chicago, but I heard that he's one of a really good BB alumni.
Oh, I didn't see his season.
Okay.
Lisa and Ed, why do you not like the Kate twist? I wish I had popcorn for that fight between Sandra and yeah, I bet that fight went. You're a traitor. You're a traitor. No, you're a traitor, B.
Yeah, it was epic. That's what we were looking for with Phaedra and Parv.
Yeah, that's what we thought that was gonna happen with them. So Janelle, they kind of press Janelle, and Janelle says the traitors are Dan, CT, and Sandra.
Not good.
She got one of the three right.
Not good. Not
CT was basically, honestly, this was a case where Dan was actually in a worse position than she was. I don't even think Dan saying, "Oh, I think Janelle's a traitor," is what did it. I think it was Janelle shooting shots at the wrong people.
people. Yep.
You guaranteed that those two people were not going to vote for you, and you made a few other people look at you funny
Mhm.
because they were like, "Wait a minute, you've been riding with CT this whole time." And
Sandra was like, "Where did this come from? Like, what are we doing, Janelle?"
so Janelle, so they voted out Janelle. Well, before we get to that, Peter accused Dan publicly at the table,
Mm-hmm.
and Dan did the same thing that he's always been doing for the most part. He was like, I don't, he said, I want to make sure that I'm 100% sure. You know, there's people that I suspect, and they're like, who, Dan?
Right.
Who? Give us a person, give us one person. And after this big dramatic pause, he's like, well, I guess I would have to say Janelle. Like,
Janelle. Okay. Honestly, I honestly think that Dan would have been banished yesterday had Janelle not threw CT and Sandra on the bus. Even if she thought that they might have been traitors, you don't throw more than one person out unless you got proof. You don't have any
exactly.
proof.
Exactly.
Like, what are we doing? Janelle, I thought she was smarter than that. No offense, Janelle, because I love you. But
Yeah.
that was a smart move.
Proof or numbers. Like either you have proof that you can bring to the table, or you know that you already have a group that you already planned this with, where
Mhm.
you're like, okay, we all think, or several of us think that these are all three the traitors. So, and we're gonna vote for this person to go out. But if you do it as a thing where you just talked about Dan mainly, and
Mhm.
then all of a sudden you throw out two names that weren't expecting you to throw them out,
Mhm.
yeah, I think her mouth really cost her because it was only an edge. It was only an
Right.
actual edge that she lost by to Dan.
Right. And then not only that though, when you throw somebody's name out, you have to have a reason for throwing their name out. So people
Mhm.
can say, I didn't think about that. Oh yeah, I remember that. But she was like, "Oh, Sandra did it." And what was the reason? She had no reason. So it was just a poor move on her part.
And it kind of benefited Dan too that they were on the same season and that
Mhm.
he took her out of that season. Because I know a few of those names were like, she probably wants some revenge on him. She's been throwing out his name for a long time.
Mhm.
So there's probably a little seed of doubt. And then, like you said, the way she spoke at the table didn't do
Mhm.
herself any favors.
No, and she could have said, "Look, you get," especially with Kevin. I don't know what Kevin is why.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wrong information. Everybody that is at that round table throws out the wrong name, and you're just putting targeting Janelle. Everybody has done it. No one
Yeah.
has gotten a traitor, including
Yeah.
you. So because she's thrown out people's names and no one was the traitor, I mean that's the game. So you're penalizing her because she was wrong. Like, you're all
Yeah.
wrong.
She did make a good point when she said that typically the traders don't throw out a lot of names like that. I mean,
Hmm.
they could. It's a possible strategy, but at least from what we've seen so far,
Right.
usually the ones that throw out all the different names and are wrong are usually not traders.
Exactly. And I think that she could have said, "Look, I've worked with Dan in the past and I know how he works. And him being quiet is not it. He's never this quiet unless he's up to something."
Mhm.
So,
I agree with you, Ed, about the halfway through the season part of it. Yeah, I wouldn't like that if I was them. If I was any of them, definitely. Like you play half the game, and you get a chance to just come in here and possibly win over people who have been here half the time. So I can agree to that. I understand that. Yeah, I guess Lisa thinks the same thing about the halfway part of it.
they can always vote her out. They could have voted her out last night.
And they gave her a vote. I was pretty surprised that they gave her an opportunity to vote.
Hmm.
Hi, D. I definitely understand your opinion on how Janelle messed up her game. I like
Hmm.
CT on this episode. Have you been watching those little after show things that they've been putting on YouTube, Tasha?
I have.
Yeah, so Phaedra's like, she's always like, I love CT. I have a big crush on him.
Yes, she said that she was in an interview. She was on Watch What Happens Live with
Mhm.
Andy Cohen, and she brought how she loves CT. He asked her who was her closest ally on there. She was like CT.
Oh wow. CT's got a charm about him.
Because even MJ was saying how silly he was. She was like,
Mhm.
CT is so silly. So I guess all the ladies love it. Ladies love CT.
Ed, I agree. I don't like it on any of the shows when they add someone part way through. Oh, they do it on The Bachelor. Wow.
Oh, they do? I don't know.
Bergie called it out. She's your number one. And oh yeah, Bergie did say that. Yeah. That Janelle is his number one, and this is the person that he called out. Did he say that in the confessional though, or did he say that out loud?
You said Bergie called who's wait.
Bergie called out Dan, is what he's talking about. Remember when they pressed him on saying a name and he
Mm-hmm.
said Janelle?
Mm-hmm. He wouldn't have never said well, she had to throw out his name, but oh well.
If y'all call Cody overrated from his season of Traitors, can we call Janelle overrated? Well,
Wouldn't call Cody overrated. This just wasn't a game for him. He couldn't lie. It's a person that you have to have a personality where it doesn't bother you to lie to people.
and funny enough, I think Cody would have been a better faithful than her, and I think
Yes,
Janelle would have been a better traitor than him,
yeah, I agree.
personality wise.
I
Like
agree.
Janelle's personality is not good for being a faithful because she's so loud and proud. She can't keep her
Mm,
mouth shut.
exactly.
Whereas Cody is somebody who's good at downplaying himself. and
Mm-hmm.
being friendly with the group and just talking and mingling with everyone. He's not good at, I mean, I know he had to lie in Big Brother, but this is a different kind of lying. It's
Exactly.
more intimate and face to face, and there's less games going on and just more conversation and trust building.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that they were each picked for the wrong role.
I agree.
Bachelor in Paradise makes me mad because I think they have them all start at the same time in the beginning.
Mm.
Janelle needed to have Sandra with her, not against her.
I,
Something. Yeah, go ahead, Tasha.
I agree with that, but Sandra wasn't her problem. It was MJ.
Hmm.
MJ is the one that I don't know why MJ told Dan that Janelle was coming after him after she thought that he was the traitor and still thinks that he's a traitor. Why would you go after her?
Hmm.
I thought it was odd. And I think Sandra, she kind of keeps to herself. That's why I'm surprised that Janelle actually singled her out. I'm like, what
Yeah,
has Sandra done?
yeah. I don't really know how that Sandra name came out. I didn't understand that either.
Mhm.
But what I would say is something that I remember going back to Big Brother 25, something I remember Sari saying to Jared when Jared was very adamant at an early point in the season of getting Jag out, when they were having that argument about whether Jag should go or Blue should go.
Mhm.
Sari said to Jared something to the effect of, Jared was like, "Do you trust Jag?" And she was like, "Sometimes these shows are about trust, and sometimes these shows are about strategically kind of working together towards a common goal for a time."
Mhm.
And I was like, that is so profound. That just went over his head, of course.
Of
but,
course.
but that was quite a profound statement to me because I feel like the traders can be like that too. For an example, if you two are traders, if
Mhm.
Parv and Phaedra are traders and everybody is coming at Dan,
Mhm.
and if they were like, oh, let's just turn on Dan and get Dan out of here, then Dan's out. Now they're looking for the next person.
Mhm.
Whereas they're like, Dan is the ultimate shield here because that's all everybody talks about. So it's good to have him in for a while. And then maybe when we have a couple of weeks left, now's the time that we get Dan out because we get more money and they're confused because everybody is throwing Dan's name out. So they're not going to be like, oh, this person is Dan's only enemy.
Right. Also, I think it could have worked not only for Phaedra and Parv, but I think that it could have worked in Janelle's favor because he wouldn't have never tried to banish her had she not threw his name in.
Because
She
he
could have
wouldn't want to
used
look
it to her
like,
advantage. Yes, she could have used it to her advantage.
yeah. Yes, you're right. Yeah, that was thanks for mentioning that because that was the other point. It could be beneficial, yes, for a
Mm,
faithful to have an inkling that somebody's a traitor, but keep them in regardless
right, exactly.
for a time. It's a little risk, but you have to be able to assess whether that risk is worth it.
I agree. But I think that she was correct with Dan, but she should have been trying to figure out who were the other two or three fake traitors and kept Dan close. Janelle played with them. And she was-
Yeah, that's a big compliment from Janelle to call Dan the best Big Brother player ever.
Mhm.
Well, she said the best Big Brother player she's ever played with, but she was on what, 3 seasons? So okay,
I can see why people think that he was great at Big Brother. I did see the scene, Dan's funeral, and how he tricked everybody into believing that he given up.
right.
And it's your whoever the lady was her name Danielle, not Danielle, but he said, I don't forgive you, but you know what you did. And everybody was like, what did she do? That was genius.
So Ed is asking, will Kate be a target? And I'm just letting everyone know we only have like 5 more minutes left here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Will Kate be a target, do you think?
I don't think right now. I don't think that she has any reason to be a target. I think that Dan may be in trouble next week, and I think that he might try to throw a traitor under the bus. That's what it seems like. I don't think it's going to be Kate.
Yeah, so let's get to this ending actually. Um, when the traitors got together and they are deciding who to murder. They were having an interesting discussion, and Dan was like, I've let everybody else pick who they want to get murdered, but this time, since so much heat is on me, I have to take the reins here. And now I remember it was during this part where both Phaedra and Parv were telling him, Dan, like, you gotta play this game better because everybody is worried about you. Your name's in everyone's mouth.
Mhm.
And then they were like, Phaedra cracked me up because Phaedra was asking him, like, Dan, are you gonna pick any? You need to pick some targets and not just say, I'm analyzing and I'm trying to make sure that I'm sure. And she's like, who's your targets? He's like, I think that tomorrow at the breakfast table. And she was like, no, Dan, you're even doing this with us. And he says to her something like, respectfully, like, I do this, like I've been doing this. So and she's like, yeah, and they know that you've done this previously. So that's why you're supposed to be doing more now to throw them off the trail.
Mhm. And that's Dan's mistake. He's not listening to the ladies. The ladies are telling you the truth, Dan.
Especially Parv.
Dan.
Parv has had his best interest at heart.
Yes,
And
they're
she's been
telling.
giving him really good information that he's not even using.
I Dan, I know that you're the best Big Brother player. You're one of the best of all time, Dan. But Dan, listen to the ladies.
Yeah, I agree. They were advising him and he was just brushing them off.
Mhm.
And now we're at this part where what's his name? Trishelle and Bergie have the
Mhm.
shields.
Mhm.
And I think that he was saying that he's thinking of Bergie, right? Wasn't that who he was pushing for?
That was who he was pushing for, which I don't think that that's a good idea. Not even, well, first of all, it looked like everybody was at the round table. So I think he did go after Bergie. But I think that six of one of the six has the shield, or two of the six have the shield. You get somebody outside the six because you don't get the ones that it's just you're
Yeah, that's what I didn't like about the preview. So we know that either he didn't pick Bergie or he did pick Bergie and it was blocked because of the shield. So we know
right.
he was there. That was a strange choice of a clip for
Yeah,
the next episode preview, but
I have done that. Now we
he's just like, oh yeah, but so Par was like, Par figured this out. Par was like, he told me that himself and Janelle had the shields. And Dan was
Mhm.
like, yeah, he told me that too. And she's like, so he's lying
Lying.
because why would he tell you that? Because he doesn't trust you. So there's
Mhm.
no reason that he would tell you the truth about that. And then Dan says something like arrogant where he's like, I don't really think that he has the bandwidth or he's that type of gamer. He's not built like that kind of thing to be able to make up that kind of lie.
Has he been? You've been playing with him. Now I'm looking at Peter. Every episode, Peter's chest pumps out. Right?
Yes.
I see it. You're not talking about Kevin. If it was Kevin, then I'll say, Dan, you're
I
right.
agree.
You're right, Kevin. You're right. But Peter, he pointed you out at the round table, and I it wasn't a good idea. But what are you gonna do?
You
He
got
had
you
his
got to take the man at his word. Like Peter has been coming for you. So how does Peter call you out at the table, but also say, "Hey Dan, I trust you. So don't tell anybody else, but I'm just telling you that these are the two people with the shields."
Mhm. And then Parv says it's a trap.
And they're both like, I'm not sure about this. That makes me uneasy. The ladies, like just like you said, the ladies are telling him. I don't know if they're doing some editing magic. I sure hope so, because if not, Dan is gonna come out looking bad
I
in the
know.
next episode.
I know. But his one saving grace, he said he has something up his sleeve, and I think that's sleeve is that he's gonna throw a traitor under the bus.
He better, because that's his Hail Mary. Because he's getting to a point where that would be his only option.
I agree.
And even then, could you imagine them saying, after they get that traitor out, could you imagine them saying, you know what, Dan probably was working with that traitor. Now let's get him out.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh,
Let me see.
Dan.
I'm trying to get to the rest of these comments because we actually have to get off for this. Um, what is it called? Escape room game.
Mm-hmm.
I have a stupid question. The people who are murdered, they never find out if that person was a traitor or faithful. Well, they
Oh,
can't be a They can't be a traitor if they're murdered.
right. So they all automatically know that they were faithful. But
Faithful, yeah.
which means that the people that are actually murdered, right? The faithful, they find out.
Oh, yeah, they don't find
Oh,
out.
they when they watch, they find out.
Yeah, they don't find out then at that moment. No. They were trying to bait and catch a traitor, and it's looking like they're catching the biggest traitor,
Yeah,
Dan.
that was a great idea, Peter. I have to hand it to Peter. It was his episode.
I agree, Prince. He's looking bad right now, but just like Tasha was saying, wait, I'm gonna wait and see. We're on a cliffhanger, so we'll see if he did something smarter than how he looked at the end of this episode, because he looked
Mhm.
like he was a rookie in
Yeah,
this discussion that they were having.
I don't think the traitors get murdered. Oh no, they can't.
Parv sussed him out. I didn't think so easy either until this episode. Thank y'all
Mhm.
for clearing that out. Okay. Oh, you got a 3 month follower. Thank you for following for 3 months, Edward. I get confused whenever Ed and Edward are in here at the same time.
Yeah.
The game is hard. Okay, everybody. First, I just want to thank Tasha again for being here, for taking your time to do this. I really enjoy this.
Thank
And
you.
now you're not a rookie.
I'm not a rookie.
So
Woo!
when Tasha has her own show, maybe she'll have me on there as a guest.
Of
And
course.
yeah, we'll see what happens. See what happens. But for those of us who are in the Discord, for those of us who are not in the Discord, join the Discord. But for those of us in the Discord, Lisa graciously blessed us with an escape room game that we're going to be trying out. So that's the reason why I'm cutting this off a little early. But you did get extended minutes, almost 50 minutes. And I hope everybody has an amazing night.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. Bye.